Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson, and bank secrecy is dead. You may have heard over the years about the Swiss bank account, or you'll see in some TV show, they'll talk about they're taking their money to Aruba, or they're going to hide it in some money hole. The reality is that stuff hasn't worked in a long time, and I'm going to give you the two acronyms that have killed bank secrecy. This has been going on for a long time. You may have read in the newspaper that the Swiss banks decided, hey, we're out of the secrecy game. But really what did this were two things. Number one, Fatca. Fatca is the U.S. system where the U.S. government requires all foreign banks and financial institutions to basically tattletale on U.S. person customers who have accounts at their bank. So if I'm a U.S. citizen and I want to go to a foreign bank, that foreign bank is going to say, oh, it says in your passport you were born in the U.S., or you have a U.S. address or a U.S. phone number, or you just have a U.S. passport, and therefore we have to comply with Fatca. Here's a stack of forms to file, and please fill these out. We'll handle it, and we're going to report your account to the U.S. government. Please make sure you tell the U.S. government on your F-bar. So that was the beginning. The U.S. government basically took a spear to bank secrecy by saying that no U.S. person was safe. And then what happened next was banks started not accepting U.S. customers. You see all over the internet, people are bemoaning the fact that U.S. citizens and green card holders can't get accounts. They're not welcome at many banks. And while many banks did shut them down, the reality is there are still some who will take Americans. We actually made a video on it here on our channel. But the next spear to bank secrecy is what's called CRS. This is the Common Reporting Standard. This is the byproduct of one of these tax-loving policy organizations that sit around all day thinking, how can we make sure everyone's paying a lot of tax? And the answer was CRS. What this is it's Fatca on a global level. It's Fatca for Western Europe. It's Fatca for 110 countries around the world. So all the friends of mine who, back when I was a U.S. citizen, would point at me and laugh and say, haha, you can't open an account in Switzerland and I can. Well, now their ability to do so is going away as well. Because when people ask the question, can I hide my money offshore? No, you can't hide your money offshore. It's dead. The ability to hide money offshore is essentially dead because any bank worth its salt is going to comply with Fatca. And almost all jurisdictions that you've thought about for offshore banking are going to comply with CRS. CRS started with about 50-some countries. Then the second year, it grew to about 100 countries. And now they're picking off a couple more every year. I think we're up to about 110 countries right now. Nigeria is coming on board, so that one's out. Albania. But basically any country that's been on your radar, including the offshore havens, they've been bullied into being part of it. And what's going to happen is all these banks in all these countries are all going to report their information into a system, and it's all just going to get sent. And so if you've been to a bank as a U.S. citizen, you know that they ask you, hey, are you a U.S. citizen? That was the issue that Americans stood alone for a while. Now, when you go to the bank, they say, where do you pay tax? Okay. When I went to my banker, my personal banker in Singapore a couple months ago, he said, oh, by the way, Mr. Henderson, we wanted to make sure that your CRS paperwork is updated because now we're in full compliance here, and so we want to make sure that we have your tax jurisdiction correct. What banks want to know is, where do you pay tax? Where do you live? Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that's where you need to live full time. Tax residence and residence are different things. But they want to know, where should we send this information so that they make sure that you're paying tax on the income that you earn from the account, that they make sure that they know that how much income you have so you're not just squirreling your money away, money that you earned and they don't know about. That's the wave of the future. And so there are some countries that are not part of CRS. We have a video on that also. Check that out here on our YouTube. But that number of countries is shrinking. And so if you're still in the mindset of Switzerland is the place to go, or Vanuatu is the place to go, or the Cayman Islands are the place to go, then times have changed. Now, my opinion on this is that the world of offshore has moved from hiding money to being transparent. I'm sure there are people who aren't going to like that. If you disagree, comment below. I'd like to hear what you think about that. But the way I see the offshore world is, with so many people making money online and being able to work from anywhere in the world, this was bound to happen because people are now traveling all over the world. Their income is portable, and governments want to make sure that they get their cut. Now, it's still legal to do offshore tax reduction, but the idea that only a limited number of people should be able to squirrel their money away offshore doesn't really make sense anymore, because now so many people can do legal tax reduction, legal offshore banking, legal everything that we talk about here at Nomad Capitalist, and just report it. Now, if you're a U.S. citizen, you're always going to have to report it. If you're not a U.S. citizen, you can simply re-domicile, transfer your residence, set up a new residence somewhere where you'd rather pay tax, either at a lower rate or a country that's not part of CRS or a country with zero tax. There are options. But the bottom line is, if you're living in a high-tax country, if you're living in a developed country and you plan on hiding your money, CRS is going to make that almost impossible. I'm not saying I agree with that, but I'm saying that as a pragmatic business person, we have to see the trend. We have to know where the world is going, and the world is going toward transparency. So now is the time to figure out, where do you want to live? Where do you want to pay tax? And what is your nomad capitalist story going to be? How are you going to create the right story so that you can legally keep more of your own money and you're not having all information sent to people you don't want it being sent to?
I'm Andrew Henderson, and if you're looking for a way to legally reduce your taxes, build your freedom, and create wealth faster as a global citizen, then you've come to the right place. I want you to do 3 things right now. Number 1, click the button to subscribe to our channel. Make sure to get notifications so you never miss a new video. Number 2, get a copy of our #1 best-selling book, Nomad Capitalist, on Amazon, and learn all the dozens of benefits of our lifestyle. And number 3, if you're already a 6 or 7-figure entrepreneur and you want to put these strategies in place, go to nomadcapitalist.com and find out how to get some help.